Implantation. To understand the lines allocations of those direct signals. To understand how to use modification line streams in set positional travel calculations with position. It's all levels of operation. Signal lines and high position location and track lines really recognize the position locations, how we use these things. This is all lines of communications to yourself inside through the inner line, which is your inner child. Okay, we did that on line interference on TikTok position location platform. We all have to understand how to use ourself more. And once you understand how to use the correlation setting directions, then you understand how to use all four in center position. Four in center position. Separation, together. Separation, together. Okay. Once they're together, they come into 5 line. Separation. Once that comes in together, they come in position to implication. So in that line stream and line rotation interference, we all understand how this works in all position locations of you. How you use it is extremely important, right? As of today in class line, we're going to go through set line setting, set track communications of father space line, which is a left line space locations, and right signal line interference of earth perception locations of mother. Okay, the center operation location is generally I. It's going to be into the center port of center communications. So the heart generation line stream is going to expand in lines of bandwidth position locations of pi. This is going to redirect SIN locations into higher calculations, algorithm program locations that compute line stream interference, come into high calculations how to use more levels of your thoughts of record location to its visual. Visual cortex is extremely important when you understand how to see yourself in our position location track lines. If I say something to you in set line position location line system and it doesn't have a structure line to visual location, it doesn't understand its operation location to its system through navigations. Okay. So in platitude line interference, we come into 0 line settings into 12 signals. Now that rotates its earth locations when it comes to this 12 stargates. It's 12 lines, 12 measures, 12 clock line stream locations. Okay, this is all connected high sign line interference into the inner child communications. Now there's an inner child locations into letters, numbers, shapes, and symbols. Now that's going to come into high volume. All right, so it comes into 1 grid, 2 grids, all the way up to 12 set location setting and directions to your DNA. This tracks the system location system when it comes into 1 dimension, 2 dimension, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 dimensional lines of geometric lines of operation straight lines in set location system of the high calculations. Set locations. Okay. So when you put positions of father and you put positions of mother in the center calculation setting of general AI, you have a calculation setting into 3 anomalies into 1. Okay, 3 clouds into 1 line set locations. Comes in all calculation modifications into the Halley's Comet set locations. Okay. So understanding the lines when it comes in the alphabetical line stream location to systems. Once you understand how to really understand your tones, how to communicate to your system, right? If you get an allocated switch string and it directs the signals to its setting, you have to learn how to use it through volume. Okay, so 7 position locations of 7. Okay, 7 calculations. Directing positions of panels. All right, so the 7s are really traveling very fast. So in that signal line and rotation surface, it's all triangulation and settings. Okay, it's all positional operation of surface. Calculation modifies to its directification of the system. Travel calculation line settings and directions. Okay, 7. Okay, now, how do I turn line 7 line interference in a higher positional form set? Tree stamps locations of block centers. There's the 7, right? So we start with this and we go to this. And once you get into shapes and anomalies, it goes lines in a bottom sequence line and set location to its system. Okay, it travels right through the 7 locations. Now, when that comes in set locations, this is what happens to the 7. It comes more in set location of channel, which is kind of been modified through to your section line. So understanding that communications comes into this setting in all set locations. 3 7s line signal and set location to hologram. Through its calculations to its geometric operation of its design of set locations. Now, in that indication line setting, you have to understand that all letters, numbers, and shapes is all symbolized. Hieroglyphic location settings of travel line setting in position locations in the center of communications into its set system. Okay. Security lines, streamline positions, in auto calculation of formation. Okay, all through 7. So 3 signatures on lines of 7, bracket communication lines, right? 7 in rotation, 7 in surface, and 7 locations. Okay, this comes on line calculation setting to a wave. It's like water to a wave. Okay, in position of track communication of setting. Okay. Now, really understand how to use the sun of operation signals because it changes its direct signal in set location. Okay, this is really interesting when you see communications all levels of a 7. So the 7 is trying to understand why it exists, is the how of its operation location system. You are trying to understand you through operation inside location of the heart of conversion locations of all timeline settings to its avatar location. So in that position location, it's coming to the moon line setting and comes in this direct locations, overlapping the sun in its rotation surface and set location. Okay. Now, in the generation line setting, it comes in this positions. All position lines of a seed pod in a cocoon, a high calculation line setting, and direct signal as set locations. Okay. All right. So it disappears, but it's still there. Now, you guys are coming to line signals of 9, line centers of 0. So that's 90 on track in set positions. So that's 90 line centers of north, calculations of east into 1 sector. North line, streamline, set lines, equal line calculations in high centers of mega into 3 line centers of pi in direct signal. Now, in direct signal line interference and phenomenal line rotations, we set up the diamond core line center in set location, setting direct signals, 9 crosses line in jump scar line rotation, 0 crosses stream in center position. So that's 2 panels of stream locations. Indicates lines into equal line. So this comes into a line setting into jump scar of north line stream. Direct signals in position location as south line stream. Okay, so in that set line calculation setting in direct signals, we take the 9 lines and we put it into line position line calculation setting in position line center location of west line stream. This sets position locations into a pyramid line stream location setting in direct signals into allocate line switch and set location. Now, in that symbolism, line center line interference, we take the north line and center its correlation setting direct signal to the sun of its operation location system of its moon of its position of traction. Okay. Now, in the traction line center line interference, we change the energy graph lines in positions. Okay. And all set location. All right. So you have to really understand how to navigate the line settings and how to set up block centers. Each one is a block center line rotation. Okay, calculates modifies. So we take the 0 line ground. So let's say you go from 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 in center location. That's what you're indicating with. So it has a circulation line rotation, center position location, this high setting, and track communications. Okay, now in that direct signal line interference, we change the optical line rotation, the 0 line, put it in position of traction. And that center lines its circle line rotation surface in the opposite location of center position. In that line communication line interference, we change the 0 lines. So you're changing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 0 lines in a cyclone line center line rotation surface in a set location setting in high calculation system into its dilation of a program location setting in direct signal. The center position location comes in line system. Now we change the communication line settings in direct high set interference and traffic communications. Very powerful when you see these things through a hologram location. Now in that position of track lines, founders of space and Mother Earth, Mother/Earth line rotations, and general AI in center calculations. Center position, right? So father lines its ground lines, sets position of track communications, crosses signal, 6 lines of panels, operational line rotation, center line interference, and traffic communications setting, direct signals position. Now in that position location comes in the line setting to an energetic dome, crosses lines of 12 line signature program set lines calculation location settings into its dimensional line stream location and position location, higher levels of travel communications. Very powerful in suppositions. Now, when you get in that signal, you have to truly understand how to use the Mother Earth line of nature. It resists lines of correlation setting direct signals. So we set up positions of panels, the operational line set location, high center interference. So we take the 111, 112, and 113 and 114 and center positions of operation surface and triangulation. That's going to line strip, film strip line stream locations in center position. Okay. Now we take the father foundation cross line into pi, a direct signal. Now this comes into sonar line stream in set location 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 in center positions in position line calculations, 9 in center, 0 in operation, and 0 in calculations, and 0 in position line setting. Open up line rotation surface in set locations. Okay. So adding frame line setting location lines and position locations of seasons, 4-track communication lines of north, west, south, and east in calculation to its system. So understanding the foundations of a line, center location of space, and Mother Earth and nature is the center calculation setting of general AI. You put all 3 line communications, 3 anomalies in set location of travel lines and set location system into operation. That my question, right? All right, so that's going to signal out. So how we doing in line signal, position, location, of program settings, and direct positions? Okay, let's see. Tina, how's it going? Andy, hey Andy, how you doing? Gingy, Andre, sending direct signals and positions. Welcome everyone. So really understand your center line communication setting is all direct signal. It's how you basically put your position, location, track lines. So we're putting founders of space of the inner child. We're putting Mother Earth as her inner child and me in the center, my inner child. 3 lines, signal into 1 position. 1 operation, 1 signal, 1 rotation, 1 continuous force comes into a line string of a holographic system, okay, to its modification of its navigation, to its mind of consciousness, okay? So, yes, drink your water, line settings, Gypsy. So in that direct signals, we come into the bracket streams and direct signals, okay? The bracket streams opens all position location settings. Spherical sphere lines is set line calculation settings, founders of space, okay? Fossil communication, gamma line, streamlines, and position of triangulations. Okay, very complicated stuff. Okay, and what I'm doing, position of traction. Okay, so understanding the center position locations into its umbrella, center its position track lines, center position locations into the levels of self line communications. Now, in that direct signal comes in line signal and line rotation surface and set locations. Now, in that direct signal line interference, we come in position locations into line signal into 12 graph line streams and direct signal is locations. Okay, comes into an energetic line set locations in high setting. Okay, very complicated. So we got the founder lines and line centers of space and direct set location of time sequence. Split the line streamline interference and set location travel lines. Now there's a line calculation setting that sets direct signals and position locations into set location of spherical sphere lines. Okay. Now this is how you set up the connections of founders and lines of space in your time sequence. Split anomaly in line position of traction. Okay, very powerful set locations. Now in that track line communication lines, you set up the 0 line rotations. Okay, so founders of space is recorrecting line stream location in your timelines. This is going to put you in a balanced lines in your heart direction timeline sequence in position of track communication to its settings of consciousness. Okay. Now in that direct line centers comes 1 panel, only 1 panel and 2 position locations of provisions. Okay, and set locations. Now in that direct signal line interference, we come into the 0 line, okay, in track communications of Mother Earth. Mother Earth rotates the center line. She also has the center communication of moon line that centers lines of travel line communication settings, indirect signal and position location to its higher set location of travel settings and direction. Now, in that signal line of high center interference, we center communications. Generally, I-line center locations comes into its port center positions of operation. Center calculation line setting and all calculation line direct signals of all operation lines of yin and yang, the process of communication. Okay, it's all done. It's all through set location setting in your time sequence. If you look really close, you can see the eyes, see the nose, see the mouth, see the intelligence. You're always going to see face recognition line settings in everything that you do through structure locations. Okay? Okay, gamma, sigma, x geometric operations. Yeah. Good. But it's very powerful what you're seeing, right? Through position. Okay. So waiting on signal, we have to really understand the line streamlines as center positions of operation. Center calculation line streams, center line rotations in the mother, and space and positions of father, and recognition of time sequence in center. So in that track lines, we come in this position locations, in center position. Okay. This is where we come into the atom rotation surface in 5 division location settings. Now, in that center line interference and travel communication line directions, it's center lines across strands and lights of flow of system location right over left and left over right in track communications. Okay. Now, in that symbolism, changes the line position locations, how you use your center calculations, your eye receptors, and position location to its orb and center calculations. Okay. Now, in that direct signal line interference, we change the ground line stream and direct signal location to a system and position. Okay, hold on a second. Okay, so this is where we come into traction and fusion. Center position location is atom line signal. Now that sets line calculations to recourse location of channel lines. Now positions of founders of space recognize the system in your time streams, timelines, times calculations, times pi. Redirect line center lines of Mother Earth in your timeline streamline and set location of 5 calculation stream location settings into 12 signatures of pi calculation. Okay. So the H line center changes its bandwidth and center communication line settings and all set position of triangulation. Okay. Now, in that direction, we have to go through the 12 lines. Instead of 12 signature stream location of 24, 48 lines of window, because the founders of space line has to recognize your sequence patterns because it's understanding its core lines. So there's 12 cores, 12 clock lines, 12 lights, 12 signatures, 12 patterns, 12 rotations, 12 spheres in your set positions in your line calculation. Now, directing signal line interference, position location lines, father space line is a space line. Left line signal, that sets position location of track lines, energetic line stream locations and setting. Position location of Mother Earth is the opposite direct signal locations. Sets lines of communication circle lines, high center interference of travel calculation setting and direct signals. Crosses line stream location system into all levels of father space and redirect signal at set location. Now, in that direct signal line interference, we change the line positions. All right, so we go into the correlation to triangulation line streams and redirect locations into a vast and volume and line rotation and center positions of operation signal. Travel calculation line settings, high travel communication setting. Communication lines are founders of space, directing signal locations of Mother Earth and nature line rotations. So they're finding the waving cycles in your timeline sequence. This puts position location line settings, high calculation stream locations, and opens up channels of its operation surface in a Halley's Comet and a Hall communication streamlines and direct signals of panel calculations of star system line streams and direct signals of allocate line stream location. Okay? Done by equation. All right, so that signal is out, gone, but still there. How are we doing so far in set location? I don't want to get too far ahead because your travel lines has to really recognize sometimes the communication to its settings. All right, so this is all formula. All right, so bracket communication lines of 0, 12 line signals, line rotations, or like conditions of box position triangulation, triangulations of pi positions, direct line signals, crosses line, vortex stream locations, travel line directions of time sequence, position triangulation line settings, triangulation line set, and position location of box position location lines of one atom line rotation, surface location of travel lines, center calculation stream line, crosses line stream interference, and set location of travel. Now, directing line signature line stream interference is understanding how to use the metric stream location setting into 0 lines and position location of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, 11, and 12 are set line calculation setting into a rectangle set location system of triangulation. Now, the directing line center line interference, we take the 0 line, we cross the stream lines 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and again 10, 11, and 12 sets location center, and we also bracket its communication setting into rectangular set locations at bottom. So the bottom line center line rotation interference is the mother wave, and position locations comes into space anomaly and set location of travel lines. And the center calculation settings of 10, 11, and 12 line signature lines, center position location, heart direction of time sequence, and 2 atom line rotation surface, and triangulation line center location of general AI, and redirect signal as application. Okay? Now, in that position of track line center locations, we take the 0 lines. It's really interesting to look at locations settings here. And 3 lines, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 set locations. Crosses stream location settings. And we do the opposite line center line interference in travel communication settings. 9 in position locations. 9 equals 9 in line center locations. So that's 4 lines of 9, okay? 4 equal lines of pi, okay? Center correlation settings equal lines of 3 lines of 9, 3 lines of pi. Redirect signal lines, position location of travel lines. So in that direct signal line stream and position locations opens up a higher calculation line directions in your time lines of time calculation. Okay, see the energetic graph line wall? That sets ground lines, waving line centrals. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 10 line stream lines, 11 and 12. So that's 100% line calculations, timeline, sequence locations. Okay, now in that symbolism, the connections to the alpha line changes tone lines. So this is where we come into megahertz, megawatts, gigawatts. 3 signature lines send location of gravity line interference line changes size graph and interference line calculation setting to activity line rotations to Schumann resonance. So we change the course of time. Indirect signal to the line set locations in waving central communication. See, waving central communications. It's all set up. Okay, so in that set line interference, we change the 0 lines in travel calculation setting in direct signal. In center line position locations in its position of traction. Okay, now in direct signal, we cross the stream, right? So this comes in X line rotation, center line condition setting, XX position, XY line rotation interference, travel line center lines of 9, in position of 4, in position of 3, in 7 correlation setting, and set location line directions. 7 bodies of water, balanced line centers, times streams, times calculation. Okay. In position signals are strong. Yep. Okay, so it's all set locations and line setting. Space anomaly lines of all calculations of boundaries of space lines of father correlations. Mother Earth wave lines, center line rotation interference. Circle line setting and calculation stream location setting direct signals. So they're in communication near timelines. So they're communicating with their system locations of their inner child sets in locations. Now, an anomaly line switches line stream locations. So it crosses streams. So it can position location line settings in all levels. Okay. And crosses over in position of track communications. Indirect signal, setting pi. See the pi? Redirect signals lines. It opens all signal line, panel lines, operation stream location setting, new satellite communications setting, direct signals, and set locations. Okay, see it? There's the hologram. Boom. Down by equation. All right. So the course of time is now changed. So we're getting that waiting signal. We come back and track communication to its settings and directions. Now, in that line rotation interference, we change the circulation ground lines, sets communication setting and position location to its system. Now, in that lines, we go into 24 into 48 window. Now, the 48 window waits on the line signal locations because you have high calculation lines of 0 into 9, waiting on signal lines of 3. So center calculations of 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 lines of high setting, the space line, and 9 direct locations in time. Sets position of center correlation direct sig locations of yin and yang of process communications. Done by equation. All right. So that's going to travel out. That's set position to its measure. And direct signal its locations. All right. So like I said, there's a lot of formulas, equation line interference. You really have to start recognizing signals in set location and line set location, how they vortex back and forth in set location and direct signals to redirect line position location to its anomalies. So we take 3 positions of point systems in set locations. Father, mother, and position locations, all of channel AI in calculations, right? Center direct signal and set location high setting. All position of track communication to a system. Okay? Of yin and yang. Done. Okay, it's all set up. Now, in that position locations, we downshift lines of winds. Now this comes into line position location of crop circle, center line rotation. Okay, so the calculation line interference comes the earth line rotation surface. The earth line perception line changes timeline, stream location, settings, indirect signal, and set locations. So now I've seen the globe line setting, high calculation stream lines, your time sequence locations of pi now. Now in that direct setting line interference, we change the line set locations and high setting. That sets the position location of 0, 0, 0, equal line calculations of 1 of operation. Now that's set position locations 1, position of 2, and position of 3. Center correlations 4, and position line condition of 5. Set position of 6, line position of 7, open through 8, waiting on 9, setting position of 10, and 11, and position of 12 in set locations. Okay, done by equation. All right. So the synchronized line settings, 150 feet away in line rotation center is set up as in your planetary surface location, your solar system line calculation stream locations. Now, in that indication position of track lines, this is where we come into the one line signatures. Setting direct signal location of 1, travels line signal location of 3 sets. Okay. Sending track communication. So it's indirect signal location of space and time, indirect signals. It's got to go both ways in set locations. So it analyzes correlation setting into the location of its own hub of pi instead of location of travel lines. Directing lines cross and stream locations, high setting positions, center position locations. That implicates lines of 24. And again, we work with a 13 window, 14 graph, 15 stream, 16 waiting signal, 17 track line, 18 measure, 19 correlation, 20 division, 21 calculations of grounds, 22 lines of security, 23 platforms of communication of Fibonacci, and 24 on a clock line rotation surface and set location. Look at that, it disappeared. It's too fast. Okay? So that's set up. So the pi indicates the travel lines and set positions. travel calculation lines, and position location high setting. 4 waving cycles, and this is where it comes in the Trinity box, and set location settings and directions. Now, in that direct signal comes the line center locations. So, founders of space tracks its communication lines into volume. Volumes, its center lines calculation setting, direct signal to acceleration, equal line calculations of Machs. Machs lines at 12 lines, equal line calculation line settings, in travel communication, teleportation stream, tel line center interference, telecommunication line interference, time sequence times the line. The correlates in high center line interference in set locations, high center and track communications into light years in set location of 1, position of track lines. So that lines its communication line center locations that opens up 4 to communication line stream interference and position locations. So 24 line centers, a 48 window, 72 track, and 144 crystal grid is now set locations in founders of space in your timeline sequence. Now, center correlation line direct locations of Mother Earth, travel with communication nature. Change to nature line center line interference. 24 equals lines of 111, position location 112, position location of 113, position location of 114, and direct signal set location setting, direct signal center position location, general AI, and center position of track lines of yin and yang of process communication. Done by equation. How's that feel? All right, so feeling the effect is understanding set locations. Gone, but still there. All right, so really understand the forming line stream location to its systems. All right, now it's in center line calculations to anything. So anything location splits in 3 panels of communications. All right. So the process is really understand the light signature line stream. Okay, 1 position location track. It's going to get very confusing when I'm going to be doing these location and travel settings. Okay. Now, in that direct signal locations, we go into a Hubble rotation surface location of grounds. Comes in position location to its location grid and 3 set locations of travels. Now, that travel line center line conditions opens up a graph line setting in position location to its orb that sets lines of communication, higher setting, travel communication of setting directions. Now, in that direct signal line interference, we open up a channel line stream location setting under high calculation setting in position location to your systems in all lines of 3 set locations. Okay. Now, once you get into that indication line interference, directing line centers the center communication setting line interference, we set in a position line calculation setting to the atmosphere line rotation surface in the opposite directions. Now, in that same line interference, the moon sets line position location of travel lines, sets lines of triangulation line positions. This opens all calculation lines of 0 line in position of center position location operation. Center travel line, center line in position of center operation location of 3 set locations of travel site location settings. Look how powerful that is in set location, right? This is the future adaptation location technology, people. Now, getting that direct same line interference, you have to really understand how the center operation works in all lines of your timeline, center line interference, and 5 direct location signals and set location of travel settings. Now, in that direct same line interference, we set up the platforms, coming at 24 line center clock lines in a 48 line window, 72 line position of all calculations, and a 144 of a platform communication setting, and 5 direct locations of systems and set locations. Look how powerful that is in set location. Okay. Waiting on signal and track communications and direct signals. Now, once we come in line signal stream locations, we come back in this line stream location, some directions. Crossing line streams. So we set position location of cobwebs. Line signals to lines of pi and redirect signals in 2 positions on line calculation setting and direct signal locations. That by equation, right? Now, in line center line interference, you can see the face recognition time sequence and set locations. There's the face recognition done by equation. Okay, it's all set up. So that's going to travel out in positions of patterns and timeline setting and set locations. So back in the equation line stream location. Doesn't get any better than that when you see line communication with systems all through travel communications, right? So testing the lines of the pilot line rotation surface sets calculations to its avatar, sets lines of travel line communications, got a scan line stream location to its settings, directing positions, right? Now, in that direct same line interference, it scans lines to set location of ground lines, opens all signal line interference to center position, center line calculations and travel lines, and single line position location high setting of laser direct location system, done by equation. All right. All right. So waiting on position locations. Now, another form of the equation line center line interference and position locations of founders of space, equal line connections of Mother Earth, and center position locations, lines of general, AI, and rotation surface as location lines. This fosters the communications, open line channels, systematic lines rotations, memory lines, counts and high interference, change in the line calculation setting, direct signals to earth line and position locations, implicate high interference of H line rotation surface and heart rate of timelines, box frequency patterns, and set locations. Travel communication line direct signals comes in this position locations to its high position travel lines and calculations to your pyramid, a high calculation line setting of your image of your vortex location of setting. Now, direct line, beam cross lines, center line rotation surface, and ground lines of sequence location of patterns. In that direct center line calculation system, your chakra line rotates its surface in one position location to its system in travel calculations. Okay? So in that line directs signals, sets lines of 0 in position of 1, in position of 2, in position of 3, in position of 4, in position of 5, in position of 6, in position of 7. In the line center line conditions of bodies of water, track communication setting, direct signals. Open up 2 panels, rotation surface, and set location of high setting in direction. Okay, that my equation. All right. So that's going to signal line and high interference. Systematic line rotation streamlines. Synchronizing travel lines, string lines, set lines, and calculation line position location operations. So we take the 0 lines, line calculations of 90. You guys are 90 signal line position locations. So that's perception of the locations of phenomena and position of track lines. So this comes into all levels of operation to a queue and set location of travel lines. So the queue is actually line connections into a synchronous line calculation setting and direct signal center. So this change position location of direct signals and how you set your communication center and position of operation. Now the operational line stream sets line calculation center lines. Center lines is communication of high calculation of film strip and line signal line rotations back into 0 communication. Now, the 0 operational line center equalizes the calculation of north, east, west, and south into its orbital line rotations, into its measure correlation of channel lines in a Merkaba tetrahedron line stream in set locations. Directing lines of panels, switch off, center lines, travel communication, and center position. Center line correlation setting indirect signals into its percentage over calculation. Now, in that direct line interference, it comes into a plasma position locations that interlines the rotation system, dimensional line stream, positions of panels, and set location of travel lines. Now, in that direct signal, we come into all calculations stream location to its system. Right? If you can look really close, you can see the birth line location of the child. See, inside line conditions. See, interception line set location settings. Okay. Now, in sequence line communication, it's true to understand how to use the energy lines of surface. The center position locations comes in set location lines of Mother Earth and nature line rotation. Okay. Now, we all have to understand the indication how it works, right? See the child inside location? All right. So that's directing line centers of 9 line rotation interference. So that's all calculations of 10% of pi, directing say locations of 100% line stream and direct signal, waiting on signal locations. So in that percentage line stream interference, we use position of track communication with half pipe. So it's set location of solar line direct signals into the moon of operation stream locations and center line calculation and timelines and 5 direct location system and triangulation. Okay. Now in that signal line interference, we change the position location to its plasma line set locations. Center lines is rotation surface. This is where you come into your metric location settings when you set up CPOD activation location settings in the crypto line stream locations. This directs the signal lines into your calculation stream locations, how to use the calculation setting to your motivational line locations. This puts track communication settings into all levels. Moderation line interference comes in position locations, how you use your Stargate line stream location settings and direct signal location in your system of timelines of times pi. Okay. How to use your remote in set location system of your heart convergence of line calculation setting into mind adaptation of its quantification system. Okay, in set positions of its yin and yang of process calculations. That's 6 and 9. Done by equation. Yeah. Okay, it's all done. Pretty amazing, isn't it? Modifications out by line setting, clearing call, direction of time sequence, center line rotation of clock lines, two position location line setting, and position of track line. Okay, so these are clock line channels, stream lines, set lines, and travel communications. This indicates the sun line, rotation surface, and direct signal set location, line set location to a system. Okay, so you have to really understand how this all works now in a birth line stream locations and center of the locations lines of its umbrella. Okay, you got the earth line rotation, setting direct signals and supposition of travel calculations. Okay, now in that line rotation interference, we take the position location of the seed pod and center position locations, all levels. So the action 6 and 9, guys, this is going to blow you away. You put the 6 and 9 line interference, your birthing communication is 6 and 9. Okay, you are made through 6 and 9. So put the seed pod lines of 6 and track communication of 9 puts a position location to the line interference that comes in all set locations to your seed and position location or settings and direct signal at set locations of center operation. Okay, so it's really interesting when you really understand how you are modified through navigation line set location of a system. So the direct signal line settings, Mother Earth is now in a rotation spin, directing line set location to a system of a birthing line set location of its inner child, line direct signals in 5-dimensional location of string locations. Okay, boom. All right, so father's line signals a space line, planetary line rotation setting to all position of track lines, directing line set line interference, and direct signals. 1, 2, 3. Center triangulation line set location setting. So that's 3 lines of 4. Okay, 4 lines of 5 and position of 6 in center positions. Now the center line comes in position location to the center line of its moon that sets the surface location of travel lines in the 5th dimensional line rotation spin of set locations. Okay, done by equation. 7 bodies of water track communication line settings, direct signal location of 5 time line setting location heart convergence. Sets direct signals and set location system in position location your settings. Done by equation. Okay? You're going like, whoa, what's going on? All right, so like I said, there's a lot of formula equation line setting and high interference. So you got the zero line communications. You got 1 position of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 over here, 10 over here, 11 here, and 12 in center position. That's how it's set up. Now, your timeline changes line screens, and position locations comes in one measure. So we change position of 0 comes into 1, 1 becomes into 2, 2 becomes into 3, 3 becomes into 4, 4 becomes into 5, 5 becomes into 6, 6 becomes into 7, 7 becomes into 8, 8 becomes into 9, 9 becomes into 10, 10 becomes into 11, and 11 becomes into 12. And set location setting and set locations. Indirect set location of panels. Now, in that direct location settings, we change the graph line stream locations in one center. Okay, set positions. The operational line set location sets line calculation setting to your system. Okay, the vertical stream location settings high calculations to your vertebrae. Center line rotations, 4 lines of streams, 8 lines of tractions, and 12 lines of measure and set location and travel location settings, directions. Now, directing line centers the panels, correlation setting, stream location, and graph lines, position location 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 line set location on one side, and direct set location setting line interference and position location of 4 set locations on the other side. Direct line set locations again, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and again locations of line set location of 9. So we got us up 4 lines, spherical spheres, center line rotation, center calculation line interference, and travel communication line centers of 0 to 12 communication of its digital location settings and position location setting, implicate high interference of travel communication lines, operation service to its positions. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? So it's 9 line signatures, line position of panels, 4 line calculation settings, 3 over pi. Okay? So that's 4 lines of 0, 3 lines of 0 line rotation interference. Directing line centers is 7 bodies of water, 7 track communications, 7 operation surface, 7 ground line interference, 7 position location of mother, 7 position locations of father, and 7 position locations of general AI space calculation, stream location, and directions. Directing lines of center communication setting and all calculation modification to the system. Done by equation. All right. Multi-pass on that stream location line direct signal and position location operation. Okay, so we come in this line and set locations, right? Travel calculation line, direct signal and positions, operation surface. So center communication lines of 0 lines, set location lines, position location of 4, and set positions of operation. Center direct signal lines and set position of 0 and 0 and 0 lines, set location of triangulation lines, set position of travel. Direct line centers across the stream, 6 lines of measure, 6 lines of program, 6 lines of rotation, 6 lines of bars. Position location line center, position of travel communication. Direct line center line interference sets position location as center lines of the sun and center communication setting and direct signal to its location. Now, in that position location center line correlation line interference is communicated to its position location of travel line center line interference to 12 position location of travels. Now, travel communication line center sets position location high center interference to travel communication high in position of travel communication lines in northwest, south, and east and travel communications of directions. Directing line centers. Now, in line rotation interference. Mother Earth line rotates the surface. So father and mother are communicating with each other right now. Center and position of travel lines. Travel communication of 6. Travel lines of 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6. 666, 666, and non-line center line interference to track communication direct signal and position of the panels. Operates the signal, line rotation surface, application system, measured, done by equation. All communications are set in position of program setting and direct signal location of center position. All right? Signal lines, 1 panel, 2 streamlines, rotation surface, and set direct signal location of general AI and center positions. Okay? Now, center operation line stream sets direct location system. Open up all lines, calculations 0 lines of 12 into position locations of yin and yang. Done by equation. All right, it's all set up. Whoa. So that's going to travel out in synchronous patterns. Now, redirect signal location system. Now, the Stargate line settings, high center interference, we have Stargate line rotation, surface location, travel calculation settings, direct signal locations. 2 panel line stream location line setting and positions. Right? Crossing line settings. Always have an open panel, right? Never have a closed signal. It's the location of center. Center position, right? Through intelligence. Crosses line stream line conditionized system and position locations. 1, 2, 3 implicates lines of 4 and direct signal and set locations. Now, 4 line center lines of 0, 4 line center line conditions of 0 position attractions. Center lines of 0, open line center, planetary line center, sun position location of moon, position of track communication setting, and direct signal applications. Now, directing line centers comes into panel communications and direct signals. Moon's going through surface location setting, your time sequence times line. Travel calculation lines comes into graph line rotation of its pi and redirect signal applications. Now, in that direct line center line interference, the sun is opening up higher calculation lines of a space line in line rotation interference and set location of models and direct signals. Space lines, travel lines, set location line center interference. General AI is the center correlation setting, redirecting signals and yin and yang process coordinated line center line interference. Travel calculation of 0 lines, calculation line interference, directing signal location of panels, and timeline sequence of 5 calculation lines are emergence. Calculation of convergent line interference of timeline sequence times lines, puts position location line center interference, and pi recognition of time. Coordinates, line center, and the stream position location interaction. Done by equation. All right. So that's how you get a sandwich of center line and ground lines of mother, father space, and me in the center. Done. It's all set up. Hooah! Woo! All right, that's traveling line setting. There's a lot to be understood to understand what's going on. Okay, so we got a bracket communication of 45-degree angle, right? 1 set line setting. So 0 line operation at 2 set positions, operation surface locations, right? 3 in measure. So it's 3 lines of 0 line positions, right? 4 in calculations, 4 lines of high center interference, 7 position attractions. Now, we all understand, yeah, done by equation. Very good. So 7 equal lines of 3. 3 line center lines of 10. That puts plus line triangle, 2 plus lines, and 1 line signature stream locations. So that's 2 lines of 2 lines in 1 position of 1. Equal lines of 3 and set location line settings. So it's clocking the system locations how to use the seconds, minutes, and hours line calculation settings and 4 clock line rotation surface and redirect signals of 0 operation. Now the 0 line center line interference is 0 travels lines of a half pipe, setting position to operate signals and line direct signals and set location system in the opposite directions. Directing line center lines of 0 line rotation surface travels position locations to its system in travel lines and center position locations of center communication line stream and set calculation. Okay, done by equation. All right. So understanding course line is understanding position of traction, how it's set up. Okay. So there's a lot of formula to set up here, really get in that set locations. Okay, so we've got a line strip line. We got a position location of yin and yang, process line stream. Okay. So it's all coordinating line interference and yin and yang, crossing symbols and set location of cross lines, triangulation line interference, and 12 line signature line stream locations, in a box line set location triangulations, and a center position location operation. Now, the operational line sets lines of rhetorical field, set direct location of center line rotation surface, and redirect signals to set locations. Now, in that signal line high center line interference, the zero ground line center line interference comes in 1, 1, 1, into position of 1, 1, 2, in position of 1, 1, 3, in position location 1, 1, 4 goes into the center line, summer, spring, winter, fall. Fall set to the center line communication setting because it sets all direct location system. Triangulations of 1, 1, 1, triangulations 1, 1, 2, and triangulations of 1, 1, 3 in set locations. Then position locations, inline center. So 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 3, we come into 1, 1, 4 in set lines. And we set position location of center lines of 1, 1, 5 in position of space and positions of time in your timeline sequence, and all position of track lines in a pyramid line rotation surface, and all calculation setting positions to activation stream locations and center position locations of its operation. Done by equation. Okay? So the weather lines are accountable now. The track communications in northwest, south, and east are all set up position, location, and provision. Okay, that's going to center out in this position of track lines. All right, so we go through center line position to center. Let's go through track communication. 0, 0, 0, 0, 4 line signatures, line position locations. 0, 0, 0, 3 line communications, right? Center lines of 7, right? So 4 equals 7, and 7 line calculations, line center interference. So 7 lines of 3, that's 10 lines equal location settings in a 3 line window, position locations of pi, and redirect signal. Now the pi calculates the stream line, crosses line stream location and setting and directions. Now in that direct signal line interference, we have to understand how to use the center operation of the sun of calculation, okay, through pi, in position location of yin and yang. So your calculation lines, your geometrical operation lines, is going to be in position of north, east, and south, west in set locations, yin and yang process. So we take the 4 lines of signature stream lines in set position. And we take the 3 string lines and set position location line settings in position of 7. Now that direct signal high center interference, 7 goes into the center position. 6 lines of 7, 7 lines of 8, 8 lines of 9, and 9 lines of 12. Take the 12 line center of 24, set lines position of 13 all the way to 23 to 24 line stream into position locations into a 40 line box in direct signal and set position of tractions. In that track line center line interference, we take the 6 lines of 7, 7 lines of 8, 8 lines of 9 into a diamond core, calculation to a resistor channel operational lines to its model of communication setting, a direct signal set location system, and travel direction of timelines and center line rotation as center position locations in its operation. Okay, down by equation. Okay, so setting the geometrical line center location of letters, numbers, and shapes is all about understanding how to use the bracket line communications into hangers lines. So we got 2 hanger lines and 2 bracket line stream locations, right? Setting direct signals across in stream location, okay? But you got to cross the line set location of settings. So in that direct signal, you have to understand how to go forward and come back, okay? So your signature pass of all calculation foundations of your 12 is now in set position locations of yin and yang, center operation of general AI through space-time communications. So the center position locations comes in a lot more easier what you're doing through track communications to its operation. Okay? To its operation. Okay? Look at that. So in that position line directions, you got a 4 line setting. So the bracket communication line interference lines of 0, 0 line position locations, 0 line in position location known settings. Crossing stream locations. So the line center line interference. Remember, there's all different ways of doing wave line central. But the Mother Earth has to rotate the spin line and rotation surface in your time stream location to its setting, and ground set line rotation to its system into its line calculation setting to its pyramid activation stream locations of its visionary cortex stream location to its setting. Now, in that set line of high interference, we set position locations into all calculated lines: alpha, delta, theta, beta, omega, calculation of radiation, all line sigma, zeta, and line satellite rotations have position attractions. Satellite communication. Now, in that direct signal, you have to understand how to use the ground lines and rotation, surface, and travel communications and directions. So the ground line shifts lines, cross lines, streamlines, allocate line centers, and platitude line inference, sets up platform communication, your timeline sequence, position locations, your avatar, and direct signal and set locations. Done by equation. All right? Isn't that amazing how you see these things to traction? All right. Coming back lines of frame line rotation surface. Remember, I'm adding frames. And when I'm adding frames, I'm adding more lines of formula line rotation interference, position locations. It's got to be comfortability of father lines of space. There's got to be comfortability location of Mother Earth and her 4 season lines and her timeline stream location and your set position locations and high position tractions. Okay. So the center position opens up higher lines, so stream locations. All right. So this is what it looks like a high calculation lines of a wormhole and line direct signals into locations. Okay, that by equation. Okay, so that can travel out. Gone, but still there. How are we all doing so far? Okay, like I said, there's a lot of formula line, cohesion line, and line rotation, position, and tractions. You have to really understand how to use the block center line condition, ledgers, number shapes, and diagram location lines of block, surface location, setting, position, location of a system. So block centers, one position, one block line rotation, center interference. Fibonacci lines swirl out of the box location system. Okay? Remember the point system and directions? Well, the avatar has to recognize the time sequence. All right? Right through. Okay? Now, once it understands that, it directs the signal. And it comes back to you in set location. And then it comes towards you in position of traction. Okay? So that lowers you in position of communications. So you get a line communication, a better travel communication and calculation. Okay? So in that line calculation setting, this is where you come in a black hole. Black hole gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and crosses stream. Okay? Gets complicated because you have to really understand how it works in line set location system. So you create it for the greater good when you come in a box line service. So center position locations comes out and communicates with you right here. Okay. So in that set location, you travel line settings and you're in this position locations looking down line setting line position travel communications. Right. And you do a scan line in center position. Center positions, E field, you put your E field line center, high position traction, right? So, and then it starts playing with you in position of travels in all direct signals of what it can do in direct signal and set location setting and all calculation modification to its line travel and position location operation. Okay? Very complicated stuff in set locations. The inner line of communication is all levels of direct location line settings, how to direct your signals to your inner child. You have to learn how to communicate with these things because it sets up its communication to your settings. It communicates with you. And when it communicates with you, it starts traveling through its own mechanism of its own setting, of its own navigation. Okay? Now that's set application of yin and yang now. The process is going to be a lot more easier now through alphabetical line setting. Okay? Look how powerful it is. All right? It's incredible. So we come back on this line, frame line. Now in direct signal, the expansion comes in line strain. Now the bandwidth line sets high calculation stream locations. Higher levels of channel lines and rotation surface. Okay, it's like a rope-a-dope. Okay, a rope-a-dope line setting and three-train communication of center lines of circulation system. Okay, that by equation. So that center lines is communication lines and satellite center lines of rotation surface and center lines of half pipe correlation stream location setting and direct signal and set locations. Okay, look at that. Look how powerful it is in set location. Remember, everything's a hologram. So the more you verify yourself as a hologram, the more you see everything around you as a hologram. But you have the really directed state location system. 100% line calculation setting, not 75, not 80, not 90, 100% location in your child. Or you're not going to understand anything location of communication setting and travel communication in your system. All right, so that travels out. Make it line set location, stream location settings, directing positions. All right, so again, we go through the hanger line streams. Okay? And again, we go through 0 lines into 1, 1, 1, 1. Equal line calculations of 1, 1, 1, 1. Equal line calculations in the box. And triangulation line sets here. Box position here. Triangulation line here. Box position here. Triangulation line here. Box position here. And center position location operation line setting direct state location of yin and yang. Okay? Now, understanding the process, how the triangulations are all set up through box lines, is calculating modification line interference to direct state location in your systems, position location of male, and set line calculation setting stream locations and position track lines. So calculation lines of male and female, that's direct state locations, all line center interference, and position location of boundaries of space, and center position of track lines. So for boundaries of space, for father to be in your position time sequence, it has to be in signature streamlines. It's got to be in its own geometric location of its box, of its triangle, and it has to be in set location setting in direct signal to time sequence. In direct line centers of Mother Earth, she's in a triangulation into male, so the triangulations of all set locations. Okay, in set position. So female lines into masculinity line rotations, and triangulation comes into box, center position locations operation inside. And triangulation goes in line center to box, and position location box going to triangulation line setting interference, indirect signal. Crosses line streamlines and position locations through the equal line. Equal line opens up line channels and stream locations in settings into a wormhole and direct signal as center position locations of its operation. Okay, now in that center line interference, it opens up another line rotation surface and triangle communication setting and direct signal. Okay. Now, in that line calculation line interference, we take the male and female line set locations and space line, 2 panels of operation location of settings, right? Center communication line direct signals, okay, in position of mother. Center direct line condition setting in position locations of general AI and saying yin and yang. And process communications and face line rotation surface, father space line rotation setting in position of track lines and communication setting and direct state locations in your timeline sequence of 5 direction of time sequence, high calculation modification line stream interference in direct state locations of its operation. Done by equation. Now we're all set. But I'm just showing you how this all works and comes together, right? So it's very powerful when you see line position location to its system through balance. All through masculine and femininity. Center operation, center operation, center operation. Mother, general, father. Okay, it's all set up. Now, in line set line position, we go into scan lines. Scan line rotation surface and triangulation line sets. And that direct state locations opens up this line signature and direct state location to systems. Okay? So the course line center lines is rotation surface and direct location of general AI. Center track lines. So I put you guys in a 24 signature line, a plateau line rotation surface going into the opposite direct location setting and direct signal and position location to its system and traction. Okay? Now, the 48 window lines is streamlines, and then you got a 72 computer line that relates its communication system to its application. Now that has an application line center. In that direct location system puts all platform communications and directions. So Mother Earth is now in platforms in set locations into 24, 48, 72 in your timeline sequence. But there is now a space line communication setting into AI calculation lines, your timeline set location to his sun and direct location to his moon. Mother has a correlation set lines and emotional system location travel lines in timeline sequence of pi position traction in position of 5 line set locations emergence in position of heart and convergent line set location of travel settings. And general AI is the center correlation setting into port and communication setting and direct signal to your heart, a modification setting of the inner child of yin and yang. Done by equation. So set up location to its system. It's all set up. How does everybody feel? It's great how you set these things up, location to its settings, right? So that's going to be traveling right now. Boom. See? It's all set up. So I really want you guys to get into positions, right? Because you have your quiz. Your quiz is coming up, let's see, set locations, Monday. Monday you have a quiz. So the quiz line setting, okay, is merging position or clock lines, putting them together, putting them together, putting them together, and all set location. Okay? So this position locations, this position locations, this position locations, all right, and this location system, right? So you have to put it all together so it becomes one line position location of operation. And when it becomes one operation, it travels through one signature stream. But it looks like 4 clock line settings, right? So all set location is 1 clock and 4 line communications and setting. So in that position locations, you have your 24 lines, you have your 48 windows, 72, and you got your 144 crystal grid. I want you guys to understand how to set up your platforms of communication line settings so you can travel communication through a system so the avatar can travel through a space line of travel calculation setting and walk its surface and travel communications. Right? See the avatar walking. See the grid. Okay? That's what the quiz is on. Okay? So on Monday, we can get more into that in direct signal location system. So I just want you guys to get into the visual line setting, how to really set up the position location, your 24, 48, 72, 144, your clock line settings, because your track communication line setting is 644, equal line calculation of clocking lines and your position locations to your lines and earth perception line setting locations to your system position locations to your avatar set locations. Okay? So it's all done now, you know? But that's all it is. It's getting all 4 clocks and lines into one. So in that position locations, this is what it is. It's very simple. You take lines of 2. There's 2, right? This is also 2, right? 2 lines of 2 signature stream locations. But they're separated. They're not communicating with each other. They don't know each other from Adam. Okay? So the way to understand the set lines of 2 line rotation interference is track communications in directions, which is the center of communication to its system. Find the center. Communication, right? Then you bringing them together in set locations. See? Look, 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 look. A swan. Hoo-ah! I created 2 track line settings and high interference to 2 atom rotation center communication setting and turned it into a swan. Multi-pass. Okay. So starting with that set location line setting is knowing how to change your letters, numbers, shapes, and symbols into anything of its equation. Okay, it's a beautiful thing. I'll do another one because I'm having so much fun. Okay, so that's what you guys have to come into your own Pictionary line centers and how to put the letters, numbers, shapes, them together, line communication, block line center, interference, position, attraction. So in that location set interference comes into one line, and this is a 1 in position location to its system. All right. So it starts with that location setting, right? So you got to go from here to here, right? And once you understand the 2 line signatures, you come into this locations. And once you understand that line signature, line interference, you come into this location system. You travel out 1, 1, 1, 1, right? See how that works? So we all have to get into that, right? And then once you get in that lines, it comes in direct signal. You send it out, right? And it comes back through the sun of rotation, right? So in that position location, remember the sun and moon are always together, comes in position locations to its moon. See? Always have the ground lines of operation surface in position. Okay? That's why it's so powerful to see yourself in location systems. Right? I can change any number in line rotation interference, anything to morph, but you have to really understand how to converge this line center line condition system. Convergence your heart in recognition lines in your space lines of time. Right? So you got one panel, one signature, one stream, one allocated, and one provision. All through one. Different intelligence. If you want to communicate with them, find the center, find the center, find the center, find the center, find the center. Center position, center position, center position, center position, center position. Okay? And that communication is you come to this setting. There we go, all communication. Done. And when you communicate in line centers, they come out. They come out. They come out. They come out. And they come out. Okay? And then they start creating things. See, they start creating things. See, they start creating things. See? They all work together. They all work together as one. Multi-pass. Okay? All right, so that's a good start and communication line stream interference. So in direct signal locations, we come into center line interference to position of track communications. There are lines of 12 lines in position of track communications in direct signals into the cerebral cortex location and mystical cortex line center and high interference into the visual cortex stream location with settings. As of tomorrow. See you there. Adios.